Hello grade 3s, welcome back to week 3 of our music lessons for this term. Today we're going to have things a little bit different because everything will be on the screen. I don't have my whiteboard with me, so all your solfege, all your rhythm challenges and your pieces are going to be on the screen. And your pieces will look like what you have at home. You'll see what I mean later on. But for now, we're going to begin with our solfege warm-up. We're going to remind ourselves what we did the last 2 weeks, and then I'm going to teach you a new way of singing this solfege warm-up, okay? So let's remind ourselves. Let's start with do. This is our starting note. Together, do, do, re, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. Then from the top coming down, so, fa, so, fa, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, fa, mi, re, do, mi, fa, so. Alright, so now for our new solfege order of singing, we're going to start back at do, and this time we're not going to be walking down the same way we walk up, okay? So we're going to be jumping from that top note down back to do. Every single time we get to the higher note, the next highest note, we jump back down to do. This is what I mean. Do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, so, do. Let's do it together very slowly. Together, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, so, do. Very good. Now, when we're coming back down from so, everything will jump from the next lowest note, because now we're moving downwards, the next lowest note back to so. This is what it looks like and sounds like. So, fa, mi, so, fa, mi, re, so, fa, mi, re, do, so. Can we do that again together, slowly? So, fa, mi, so, fa, mi, re, so, fa, mi, re, do, so. So let's try going up and going down using that same sequence, okay? Do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, so, do. Coming down, so, fa, mi, so, fa, mi, re, so, fa, mi, re, do, so. Good job! Make sure you are taking time to practice these warm-ups by yourself. If you're just sitting and you're not doing anything, you can just work on your solfege warm-ups and use your hand signs. That way we can get quicker and quicker at singing these solfege notes. Today, I want us to do a new kind of rhythm, which has a rest that we've never done before. So it has the 8th note rest, okay? The 8th note rest is equal to half a beat, just like the 8th note that we usually read. The one we usually read as T. When you have two of them, we read it as T, T, okay? So the eighth note rest is half a beat. If you have two eighth notes rest next to each other, that makes up one beat, because a half plus a half equals one beat. So that is a quarter rest. We've looked at quarter rests before. So the same way you count eighth notes is the same way you will count your eighth note rest, but it will be a rest, it will be a pause. So in the rhythm that we have today, as you can see on your screen, we have an eighth note, then an eighth note rest. This is what it looks like. An eighth note, then an eighth note rest. Eighth note rest. Eighth note rest. And continues until we see ti, ti, ta. Eighth note, quarter note. So we're going to read our eighth note rest as and. Why? Because I want you to know that the eighth note rest still completes the beat. The same way two eighth notes alongside each other make up one beat is the same way an eighth note and an eighth note rest still make up one full beat. So we're going to say T and T and T and T and. Now this rhythm exercise has 4 beats in a measure. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this eighth note rest comes in between, just in between every clap. T and T and T and T and. So the eighth note here lands on the first beat, the main part of the beat, and then the rest gets that little middle portion of the beat. Then the next main beat, middle portion. Next main beat, middle of the beat. Next main beat. Or you could say it as the half, the other half of the beat. So that's what we are reading as and. I'm trying to go slowly so you understand. So anytime you see an eighth note rest, for now, let's just use and so that we don't confuse ourselves. Since we usually say rest, rest. For 2 quarter notes, we're going to say and to remind ourselves that it's a very short beat and it's just half. It's half of a full beat. So let's read this line and see what it sounds like all together. 1, 2, 3, let's go. T and T and T and T and T and T and T, T, ta. Again, go. T and T and T and T and T and T and T, T, ta. Now for our second exercise, it's very short. It's the same concept, but now we have more eighth notes and then just a little eighth note rest in between every 3 eighth notes. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, let's go. T, 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 and T, 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 and. Now if you notice, I'm not tapping on every eighth note. I'm just snapping the main beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the main beats of the measure. Okay, so if you're able to tell what the main beats are, then it's easier to see which ones fall on the main beats and which ones are in between. So let's try that again. 3 and go. T, 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 and T, 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 and. Now I have one more rhythm for you here. And this time we have 3 beats in a measure. 3 beats in a measure. So let's try read it the exact same way. These are our 3 main beats. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Let's try. T and T and ta. T, T, T and T and. Let's work on the Earl of Oxford's March. That's the piece for today. Last week we worked on When the Saints Go Marching In, and I will expect you to have practiced the whole of that piece because next week I have instructions for your assessment. But today we have the Earl of Oxford's March to learn, and it's a long piece. It's 6 lines, but today we're just going to do the first 3 lines. Now, there's something important that this piece has that we've never seen before. If you notice in the first measure, there is a dark line that has been highlighted in purple. Can you see it? What does that mean? It means that for that whole measure, we're silent. We just count 4 beats quietly. So that means I will count in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're silent for 4 beats. Because remember, when I count, that means the piece has begun. So usually in a space like that, you'll have the piano play something, and then now other instruments come in. In this case, maybe the piano would play something, and then as the recorders, we would begin to play after 4 beats. Do you understand? So that dark line at the beginning of the piece is after we've already counted in. So if I count in 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3. Are we getting ready? Then. And so on. So we're going to do that. Now, today I am not going to play the whole piece to teach you how to play the piece, because these are notes that you know. There's no F sharp, there's no high E, there's nothing weird about this piece that would make you think, oh no, I can't do that by myself. So you will learn this piece by yourself. That's a challenge for this week. I'm going to play it through beginning to end once, because if you want to listen to it again, you can rewind this video. I'm going to play you this piece once, and I want you to use this week, as you're working on, or when the saints go marching in, I want you to sight read this piece. I want you to teach yourself this piece. Now, the reason why we're doing that is because as music students, we have to learn the discipline of following along with the notes by ourselves, instead of always waiting for Miss Vanessa to show us measure by measure by measure by measure. So all these notes are so familiar to you. These are the first notes we started with. G, A, B, C, and high D. Those are all the notes in these 3 lines. So you can play this piece by yourself. The main thing is for you to play according to the rhythm. So that first measure says ta, ti, ti, ta, ta. Then it continues ta, 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 ti, ti, ta, ta. Okay, so the challenge for this week is to play these first 3 lines of the Earl of Oxford's March by yourself. But I will play these lines beginning to end, just these 3 lines, and you get to listen and then take time to work on it by yourself. I know you can do it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, let's go. That's it. Now, can someone tell me, what do we notice about line 3? What do you notice about it? It has so many A's, so many A notes. So that makes it very easy to play, because now all we have to make sure we do is play according to the rhythm and play those two B's where they come in properly and not miss them. Okay? So that's all I'm going to tell you for this week, because I really want to see how you read it for yourself and how you figure out the Earl of Oxford's March by yourself. That's all for this week. See you next week.